Everyone is watching the wars, the missiles, the headlines, the politics, but nobody is asking the real question. If your income stopped tomorrow, how long will you survive? Because the real war is actually happening right now. It's not just military, it is financial. You see, if you don't understand how money is moving in this environment, the odds are you'll be affected by it, whether you like it or not. It's just what it is. So, as I get into this today, I want to start first with section one, which is oil. Oil controls more than you think. So, imagine for a moment with me, okay? You start with something most people completely underestimate. When you oil, oil, most people think if oil goes up, gas is expensive. And that's just a surface level thinking. Here's what's actually happening. Oil is priced globally in US dollars. This system has been in place for decades, meaning every country in the world needs US dollars to buy oil. Now think about this. When war disrupts oil supply, whether it's in the Middle East, Eastern Europe, or trade routes, countries start scrambling. They need more oil. They need more dollars. And that creates pressure across the entire financial system. So, if you want to take a deep dive, you understand. Here's what most people should know, but they don't know. Because at the same time that global demand for dollars increases, the US is also increasing the money supply. This is US money supply, M2 increased by roughly 40% between 2020 and 2022. That's coming from the Federal Reserve economic data known as Fred. So now you have a situation where demand is rising, supply is also rising. That creates instability. And that's why you are starting to hear about countries trying to move away from the dollar in trade, trading their own local currencies. That's not politics. That is not theologic. That's just pure economic power. And that's what these countries are trying to do. That takes me to section 2, inflation. It's a system, by the way, not an accident. Because when you hear inflation, or you think about one way, because most people are quietly losing, so we just assume, okay, inflation is inflation, but that's not the case. Inflation is not random. It follows a very simple equation. More money in system, same amount of goods, prices rise up. Okay. Here's the reality. Inflation reduces purchasing power, and oil shocks historically increase inflation. And by that, that's coming from International Energy Agency, according to them, IEA. And most people who are looking at all of this, they're just looking at bombs. But inflation does not affect everyone equally, though. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because if you have assets, okay, you benefit. If you rely on income, you lose. Why? Because assets rise with inflation. Wages lag behind on inflation. So if anything unfixed, you're pretty much in trouble. If your assets can move with inflation, you're okay. Because inflation is not just prices going up, it's your money buying less life. That's inflation. And most people don't realize it's happening until it's too late. Now, interest rates plays a very big role because interest rates are control. Because if you understand the concept of interest rates, it's crazy to me. What people think a lot of the time that rates go up to fight inflation, that's true, but it's incomplete. Very, very incomplete. The reason why is because, what's really happening is when rates goes up, mortgages become more expensive, credit card debt becomes more expensive, businesses slow down borrowing, and what happens? The entire economy slows down. This is intentional, by the way. You see, a lot of the time, most people don't realize that, the Federal Reserve doesn't just respond to the economy. They shapes behavior. And that's one of the roles, that they perform. High rates, typically, people stop spending. Low rates, people start borrowing. This is a control mechanism. It's control at a scale. If your life depends on borrowing money for college, for schools, for cars, for homes, you are controlled by interest rates. That means your entire life is controlled by interest rates. That takes me to what I call a decision disorder, okay? Which is typically your edge, a decision disorder. All right, this is the part nobody talks about, where most people still lose even when they have access to information. Why though? We're living in the most informed generation in history, very informed. Social media, AI tools, financial advice everywhere. And yet, people are still struggling financially. Why? You know, have you ever asked yourself that question? The problem is not lack of information, apparently, it's lack of structure. Structure is going to be the new currency of AI. Because, for me, the way I call it, I call it a decision disorder. That's what I call it. Too many options, too many opinions, no clear systems. That's what happened. The results, confusion. Okay? Confusion leads to inaction. Inaction leads to financial loss. That's how it goes. More information does not equal better decisions at all. Without structure, it creates chaos, and God doesn't like chaos. That takes me to the next part. What smart people are doing. So, what are intelligent people doing right now? It's the first thing they do is protection. You have to protect your income first, not chasing return. I want 5%, 10%. No, 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 no. At this point, it's called protection. Protect, your income. Number two is liquidity, so that you can keep, having access to your capital, so that they can move when opportunities show up, then you can invest. Number three is called structured growth, that you're not gambling in the marketplace. You're using structured strategies tied to growth without exposing everything to what? To risk. Number four is called income systems, where you build predictable income streams so they are not dependent on one paycheck. There are multiple sources. Money is coming to you from multiple directions. These are different strategies right now that you could use. Wealthy people don't chase returns first. They reduce the risk first. That's what they do. Now, of course, this is why tools like life insurance, annuities, when structured properly, can truly, that they're not just products. They can truly set up that system for you, the financial systems that I'm referring to. And that's, taking care of the decision disorder. Let me leave you with this. You say, the next 5 to 10 years will create two types of people: those who react to the economy and those who are positioned for it. Those are the two types of people we're going to have. If you don't build a system, you become part of someone else's system. That's it. By the way, if you're not subscribing to my channel, if you find value in this, I recommend that you do. And if you're serious about protecting your income, building real financial structure, and positioning yourself ahead of what's coming, you can message me the word structure, and I will personally show you how to build a system that actually works for you.